I'm Reika of Lolita Dark. In this chapter of our suicide prevention video, Stay Alive, you'll hear some of my own story where I felt dark despair. To find a family that loves you, please watch this.
There's a quote I once heard: having horror heard helps heal hurt.
Having horror heard helps heal hurt.
And so the key is, if you can speak that out and not just be said you'll be fine, or even feel understood, if you can feel felt. So what happens is when you become addicted to something, and I even said this to Kevin previously, when he became attached to death as a way to relieve the pain, when he went over the rail, all the pain went away and revealed to him, I don't want to die, I want to live. Looks like it's a little bit late, you better figure this one out. And what happened is, in a moment, he got a burst of oxytocin because he bonded with death. He was finally doing it. He was going to get a relief from his pain. And then he realized, I don't want to die, I just want the relief from the pain. And what happens is when oxytocin comes in, which is our bonding hormone, it lowers cortisol. So cortisol is stress, and when stress goes up, cortisol goes up, and something in our brain, in our emotional brain, is called an amygdala. And the amygdala hijacks us, and what that means is the blood flow goes to our lower brain and away from our upper brain, so we can't think. So the cortisol goes up, amygdala hijacks our blood flow into our lower brain, we can't think in our upper brain. But when you get a burst of oxytocin, when you feel felt, what happens is cortisol goes down, the amygdala calms down, blood flow goes back up into your upper brain, and after you can express yourself and feel felt and not feel alone, you can start to think again.
So this is perfect. This is a perfect segue. Guess what else releases oxytocin? A 23-second hug releases oxytocin in the brain that makes people feel better.
Absolutely.
Often in my presentations, I will ask everyone who's physically capable to stand, turn to the person nearest them they don't know, and if they're comfortable, give them a hug. After we do a whole presentation and we reach the audience in a very deep way, a meaningful way, we ask anybody who's willing to give somebody else they don't know a hug. And it's for some people, it's the most awkward moment of the entire presentation, but then you see this sea of people hugging people they don't know, literally for 23 seconds, which seems kind of goofy at first because you don't know the person, but then you see these sighs and reliefs, and you see when they release themselves from their hug, their shoulders go down, they smile, their eyes light up, and they've just been given a moment of feeling better from whatever pain they're in, and it's a beautiful thing.
I just flashed on a memory. I haven't remembered in years. So I went to college in the 60s. So I was a hippie, the long hair, the sandals.
I want to see a picture.
The beard. Don't get me started. And I grew up in Boston, and my father was fairly conventional. Plus my father was not a hugger. And I remember, because I was at Berkeley in the 60s, free love and all this, I came home and I got off the plane, saw my dad, and I gave him a hug, and he froze like this. I felt rejected. And so I remember I hugged him, and he froze like this, and I said, oh, okay. And then and I didn't hug him for a while. I mean, I don't know that we'd ever hugged before that. And then I realized the reason he didn't hug me is because he hadn't been hugged. And it's not that he didn't want to hug me, he didn't know what to do. So when I got this realization, no, he wanted to hug me, he just didn't know what to do. So the next time, this took about a year, the next time I came home, I went up to him, and I hugged him, and he went like this, and I whispered in his ear, I said, hug your son, it's long overdue, and we both need it. And it was so weird, because what happened is his hands were like, if you've ever seen E.T., E.T. has floppy hands like this. His hands were like, he didn't know it, and I can feel it now. And he put his hands around me, and it was almost convulsive. It was like, he kept pulling me into him like this, because he'd never been hugged when he was younger. So I was giving him the hug that he never received so he could give it to me. And after that, he just became this sloppy hugger. I think I made a mistake.
I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that because that's exactly what my dad does.
Wow.
Stands like this, and it always hurt me. But if I realize that he wants to hug me, but it's clear to me he was never hugged.
Yeah.
You know, that's clear as day. I never thought of it like that. And my dad lives here in Los Angeles. I was, going to potentially go do some filming with a friend, but I think I'm going to go to my dad's house and give him a hug. Mm-hmm. And make him hug me. Like my dad, he was this tough Sunset Irishman that was like the drill sergeant who was never in the military. But there's a reason for that. His father was in the Battle of Okinawa, in the real grind, in the real dirt. And his father would die of alcoholism, liver cirrhosis, liver failures, just like his mother would, very young. And my dad left his home with a few dollars in his pocket to make his way in the world. And he had to fight for everything he ever earned the hard way. He went from the gutter to being one of the most prominent San Francisco bankers of his time. And he was so tough on me and hardest on me, and he would tell me, Kevin, I'm hardest on you because you have the most potential of my 3 children. But on the flip side, when he was angry with me, he'd say, Kevin, you're the most disappointing of my 3 children. So when my father was so hard on me and I'm such a sensitive person, it would affect me in such a terrible way mentally. But he went from being that tough Sunset Irishman that he always was growing up to coming to my psych ward in the 3rd psych ward stay of 7 in 11 years and telling me his story in front of a therapist. And telling me that he was abused and beaten by his father, who was an alcoholic, who would put holes in the wall and then put frames up on every level of the wall in every room. And when he finally showed my mom, they were 2nd grade sweethearts, when later on when they got older, he tilted one of the frames to the left, behind it a hole in the drywall the size of Mickey's fist, aiming for my father's head where he would often connect. And my dad grew up with that, but my dad never hit me once. He just yelled. It was very emotionally damaging when he yelled because I was so sensitive. But then he goes and tells me his story in this therapy session, and really everything changed. I mean, he would yell again, but he would also become the best man at my wedding, and there was no other choice because he was the only person in my family, in my life, besides his Uncle Kevin, that would be at every psych ward stay, that would never let me go, that would never kick me out, that for more than a day at a time, and that would never wash his hands of me. A lot of people, when I was mentally unsound and falling apart and cracking at the seams, a lot of people walked away. He never walked away. He walked toward me. And he always had my back.
Oh my God.
And even though we had a tough relationship for a long time, it got better and we became friends as I became an adult. So it was this father to child relationship became a father to adult relationship, and then a friend to friend relationship. And him being the best man at my wedding, all my friends were upset because there was no way I was picking any of them, because I had made this connection with the man that loved me the most in the entire world and would do anything for me.
The family that we're born into is not necessarily our family. Our family are the people in the world who see good, value, a future for us, who love us, who like us, who enjoy us, who are never feeling like we're a burden to them. Our job is to find that family if you weren't born into it. And I'm so glad to be one of your mentors, because there are millions of people who are finding that person in you. They're finding you to be the one who believes in them, you to be the one who says you're worth being here. You're the one who needs to be here tomorrow because you're worth it. And the fact that I get to mentor you, I get to be here, there, anywhere you need me for you. I mean, it's amazing. And so the job for anyone who feels worthless, useless, who feels despair and unpaired with reasons to go on, is go find that family. There is that family. All you have to do is reach out to them and find them. And people, there are good people in the world who want to be that family for other people, who want to give. And don't be discouraged by all the people, even good people, who are just too busy, who are too busy being preoccupied with their own pain and fear. But find the family that you deserve to have.